Long before Gondor raised its white towers, before Sauron forged his kingdom in the shadows, there were empires, glorious, majestic, now forgotten. Civilizations that ruled over Middle-earth and beyond, each with a story etched in triumph, in tragedy, and in silence. Some were destroyed in fire and war. Others simply faded into myth. Today we delve into the lost kingdoms of Middle-earth, civilizations buried by time and remembered only in whispers. This is not the Middle-earth you've seen on screen. It is older, deeper, and far more mysterious. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. Let us begin where so many tales of rise and ruin do, with Númenor. Númenor, a name that echoes with both glory and doom. Gifted to men by the Valar after the fall of Morgoth, Númenor rose from the sea like a crown upon the waves. It was the greatest of human kingdoms, shaped by the wisdom of the elves and blessed by the powers of the West. At its heart stood Armenelos the Golden, a city of shining spires and vast libraries. Its kings, descended from Elros, the brother of Elrond, ruled long lives with knowledge and power far beyond other men. They sailed the seas in ships unmatched, exploring distant shores, teaching, trading, and yes, eventually conquering. But pride is a slow poison, and in time, the Númenóreans began to fear death. They turned away from the Valar, from the elves, and from wisdom. And then, Sauron set foot upon Númenor. Captured in battle but cunning in spirit, the Dark Lord whispered his lies into the ears of Númenor's king, Ar-Pharazôn. Under Sauron's influence, the Númenóreans turned to darkness, building temples to Melkor, sacrificing in his name. And then, in arrogance beyond measure, they sailed west to challenge the immortals themselves. The sea rose, the earth shook, and Númenor, that mighty island, was drowned beneath the waves. Only a few faithful escaped, Elendil and his sons, Isildur and Anarion, carrying with them the seed of future kingdoms, Gondor and Arnor. But Númenor was no more, a second Atlantis, swallowed by its own pride. Its ruins lie beneath the sea, and in the memory of those who still dare speak its name. They were once men of the West, Númenórean nobles, lords of great wisdom, long life, and unmatched glory. But pride corrodes all. When Númenor fell beneath the sea, not all who escaped were faithful. Some had turned their backs on the Valar, on the elves, on the light. They did not seek refuge in Middle-earth to rebuild. They came to conquer it. These were the Black Númenóreans, those who had followed Ar-Pharazôn, who had worshipped Melkor, and who had embraced the darkness Sauron whispered into their hearts. They built kingdoms in the south, along the coasts of Harad and Umbar, cities of obsidian and fire, adorned with grim statues and cruel banners. They enslaved local populations, raised towers in defiance of the West, and declared themselves kings of lands they had seized. Foremost among these cities was Umbar, the Corsair haven. Once a great harbor built by the Númenóreans in the Second Age, it became the black heart of their legacy, a place of shadowed altars and seaborne terror. From Umbar and other hidden fortresses, the Black Númenóreans waged war upon Gondor, their former kin. They hated the faithful and sought to undo everything Elendil's line stood for. Some, like Haremore and Fëanor, rose high in Sauron's favor during the Second Age, becoming warlords among the Haradrim. Their names have been lost to most, but in the east and south, their bloodlines may yet linger. As the Third Age wore on, their kingdoms dwindled. Gondor took Umbar. The line of the Black Númenórean kings broke. Their language faded, but echoes of them remained. In the corsairs who plagued Gondor's shores, in the whispered rites of dark cults, and perhaps in those few who still walked beneath the banners of the Eye, speaking with ancient tongues no longer heard in the West. The Black Númenóreans remind us, not all who sailed from the downfall of Númenor brought hope. Some brought only the embers of its pride, and sought to burn the world anew. While the West reeled from the fall of Númenor, far beyond Mordor's shadow, another empire stirred. It did not rise with song or wisdom, but with war chariots and fire. They were called the Wainriders, and their coming would shake Gondor to its very core. They swept across the lands in vast columns, mounted in chariots and wagons, the likes of which the West had never seen. Their name comes from the massive war carts that carried their warriors, their women, their kings, their gods. They were not mere raiders, they were an empire in motion. Organized, disciplined, and utterly ruthless, the Wainriders forged alliances with other Easterling tribes, subjugated peoples in Rhûn, and even made pacts with the men of Kant and the Haradrim. And all the while, their master watched from afar, Sauron, who once more stirred in secret, nurturing the resentment of the East toward Gondor. The Wainriders struck at a time when Gondor had grown complacent. They defeated King Narmakkel II and ravaged Rovanion, enslaving the Northmen and burning their settlements. Gondor's strength fractured, its armies bled. Even Eotheod, ancestors of the Rohirrim, were forced to flee northward, driven by the relentless advance of the Wainrider hosts. But their rise would not last forever. In time, Gondor learned. In the fateful Battle of the Camp, a brilliant maneuver orchestrated by Eärnil, General of Gondor, crushed the Wainriders in a surprise counterattack. Their empire buckled, their unity shattered, they faded into history, or so it seemed. And so, even in defeat, the wheels of their war keep turning. But not all forgotten kingdoms fell in fire and fury. In the farthest reaches of Middle-earth, beyond even the knowledge of Gondor or the wandering of elves, lies a place colder than death, older than memory, Forodwaith, the northern waste. Few maps mark it, fewer still have seen it and lived. This was no empty tundra. In the elder days, it was home to a people, the Forodwaith, hardy men, who carved out an existence in the unforgiving cold. Some survived even into the Third Age, becoming the Lossoth, the snowmen of the north. Their lives were built on endurance, on silence, on survival. But long ago, in the shadowed stretches of the First Age, whispers tell of something more. There are tales, fragmented and doubted, that suggest ancient strongholds once stood beneath the ice, frozen citadels of men, or even of creatures older than the races we know. Some say Morgoth fled north to regions like these after the destruction of his fortress in Utumno. Others claim darker things still slumber there, bound in ice since the dawn. Even in the Second Age, when Sauron rose to power, he sent no armies north. Forodwaith was too harsh, too distant, and perhaps too dangerous even for him. And yet, this realm played a subtle role in history. When Arvedui, the last king of Arthedain, fled the Witch King's onslaught, he took shelter among the Lossoth in the icy wastes. They warned him not to leave, not to trust the sea in such cold. He did not listen, and the ship that carried him, and the Palantiri of the north, vanished beneath the frozen waves, lost forever. Forodwaith is not a kingdom in the traditional sense, no thrones, no towers, no written lore. But beneath its frost lies something older than kingdoms, mystery, memory, and a silence that has never been broken. It is a realm lost not to war, but to the world itself. Not all lost kingdoms were buried in snow and silence. Some were carved in stone, deep beneath the mountains, proud, defiant, and destined to fall. This was Khazad-dúm. To elves, it was Hadhodrond. To men, the Dwarrodelf. And to most today, it is known by one name only, Moria. Moria is what it became. Khazad-dúm is what it was. In the elder days, Khazad-dúm was founded by Durin the Deathless, the first of the dwarves. It became their greatest realm, a kingdom of stone, pride, and craftsmanship beyond compare. Its mines stretched deep into the earth, lit by crystalline lamps and fed by the cold waters of the Mirror Mere. It was here that the dwarves discovered mithril, the most precious metal in all of Middle-earth, light as silk, harder than dragon scale. And mithril brought them power. The dwarves of Khazad-dúm grew rich. They traded with the elves of Eregion. They delved deeper. Their halls rang with song and stone, their gates unmatched in beauty and strength. But deep delving has its price. In the Third Age, long after the fall of Eregion and the fading of elven kingdoms, the dwarves went deeper still, searching for the last veins of Mithril, and they awoke something that should have never been disturbed: Durin's Bane, a Balrog of Morgoth, a demon of shadow and flame, buried since the First Age. It slew King Durin VI and his son. The dwarves fled, and Khazad-dúm fell into darkness. For centuries, it lay abandoned. Later, Balin would try to reclaim it. He failed. His tomb remains a silent testimony to that doomed expedition. But in the time of the War of the Ring, the Fellowship passed through its silent halls. And there, the Balrog met its end. And so did Gandalf the Grey, who fell into shadow to be reborn as Gandalf the White. Khazad-dúm stands still beneath the roots of the world, a relic of pride, power, and the long fall of the dwarves. Its gates are sealed, its glory buried, but in the dark, something stirs. The Dwarrodelf is not forgotten, and legends do not sleep forever. Across the ages, Middle-earth has buried countless kingdoms beneath its soil and waves. Which lost kingdom sparked your curiosity the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if exploring these buried realms stirred your love for the deeper legends of Middle-earth, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more journeys into Tolkien's forgotten past. Until our next tale, thanks for watching, and as always, see you on the next one.